the series moving up a day, does that alter who starts and where, and just kind of your thoughts on the mound?
Yeah, we'll keep our rotation. Well, yes, to answer your question. Toby Twist will start Thursday. And then it's the same three starters that we have the other series. So, yes, it does.
Back to bat.
I guess just what are the expectations going from Series 1 to Series 2 of improvements you want to see, and just kind of your expectations for this weekend?
Yeah, I just, I want to see them continue to grow as a team. I want to see them get comfortable in their own skin, all across the board, but specifically offensively. We saw some guys in character. We saw some guys out of character, depending on the at-bats, and really want to just see them mature and continue to grow this weekend. Obviously, the objective is to win every time you play, and so we get a chance to play 4 games. Then I want to win them all. And I think the pitchers that are getting rolled out there, Toby didn't want to move Will Sanford or anybody up a day, not early. But so going Toby and then Sanford and then, Clark and Scolari. It'll have Ryan, who pitched really, really well last weekend as a starter, available for us in the bullpen. Nevertheless, I just want to see him mature, and I want to see him win 4 games.
We saw plenty of debuts out of the bullpen over the weekend. How do you expect to continue to figure out those roles this weekend?
Just watch, right? Those kids get opportunities based off of what they've done in scrimmages, and now it's just for us to watch and see how they handle game scenarios. And so they're really the ones that determine who's playing. We're just trying to pay attention. We don't have any contracts with anybody that says we got to play them or we got to pitch them somewhere. Bottom line is the guys that are playing and pitching best, those are the guys going to get leaned on heaviest. So the guys that, that show that's what you're looking for right there. And a healthy spirit of competition is what we're after. I think we've got a lot of really good options, and the competition's really been good. There's still a couple of guys that haven't taken the jacket off down in that bullpen that are really good. Same thing with position players, that are some talented players didn't get any at-bats last weekend.
Wrap.
Early in the season, how do you balance the building of confidence with also the high level of execution and standards?
Well, you just, for me, that's a good question. You try to take the focus off of, you got to do this and you got to do that. What you got to do is you got to go out there and play baseball like it's fun, because that's why you started doing it. Instead of making it more to it than it really is, just go out and have fun. Right? Go out and play baseball. Get dirty. Do the things that you always wanted to do. Get the attention off yourself and your stat line. Get it on to how you can help the ball club win. I think if you do that, you end up usually having a pretty good stat line. So, playing really well. So we try to just keep guys channeled and focused in that way, and we'll do that this week as well.
Back right, Aaron.
You mentioned there were some characteristic and uncharacteristic moments this past weekend. How did you like the way that maybe in those uncharacteristic moments that players were able to make adjustments, especially as you're playing the same team again, kind of 4 times throughout the weekend? How important maybe is that to make those adjustments?
Well, I think the biggest thing is the ability to have a bad at-bat and go out on defense and nail it. And so for guys that killed it last weekend, your Angel Ayas of the world that, got honors and awards that were well earned. It's probably pretty easy to go out and play defense when everything that you see is a beach ball up there and you get a lot of hits. For the guy that didn't get as many hits as he wanted to go out there and play the type of defense that we played last weekend, that tells me that the kid's mentally tough and that he's got his brain in the right place. Instead of thinking about his at-bat or whatever he did or didn't do great, he's now shifted to the team, and the team is the biggest indicator of being a team guy is how you play defense, because it's the thing that, most guys don't learn at an early age, that defense is really, really important, and that is what wins championships, and that's the key, right? So if you can get those guys thinking that way, then that's the best team mentality you can have, in my opinion.
Fair.
We heard good reviews on the energy in the dugout from multiple players over the weekend. How did you see that coming together in the first game action?
It was good. It was a lot of fun to be with those guys. They look like they enjoyed themselves in the dugout. We really encourage them, not to be frivolous and, throwing Skittles at each other or something stupid, but, being productive in the dugout, having having a working dugout is what it's been referred to as somebody that I consider a really, really good coach. And he'd talk about having a working dugout and what that means and having jobs for everybody and then embracing, the time in between pitches because, Ken Ravizza used to talk a lot about mental toughness and what it means during the game. And do you have the ability to really stay locked in for 3.5 hours or do you take that bursts on, bursts off mentally, right? And so the time in between pitches, you can take that 5 to 10 seconds and be out, but then zoom back in and get focused again for the next pitch and always on the next pitch. And, training guys to do that is something that we all have to be trained to do mentally because it's not natural. But then when you can do that and you can have your periods of time where you're out for 5 or 10 seconds, whatever the player needs to get refocused for that next pitch and be on it. That's really, at the end of the day, you ask them, hey, how many pitches did you miss? How many pitches were you still checked out on for whatever reason? You were thinking about who knows what. And you can do that when it's, if the weather's chilly, you're playing a doubleheader, it gets long. Just ask the casual fan, how many fans can literally stay locked in for every single pitch of a doubleheader? And it's 0. That's the grand total of fans that can do that. And that's not their job. That's the player's job. And specifically, it's really a coach's job. But if you teach players to do that, then you got probably a great dugout. And last weekend we had a dugout that was a lot of fun to be around because they were into the game.
Back right, Aaron.
Maddox was someone who has had a big role ever since he was a freshman. I'm wondering if you've seen maybe him take a freshman like Angel, who found a lot of success this past weekend, maybe under their wing, and how kind of Maddox has also made that leadership switch now that he's a junior, and how much he's kind of grown since his freshman year, and how much he can kind of be an example for someone like Angel.
Maddox is a really good player. I mean, all these kids lead in different ways, right? Maddox, the way he leads is one way. And, then a guy like Ryan Cooney is going to lead in a totally different way. And I mean, regardless whether it's Maddox, Ryan Cooney, Dom Hellman, Drew Smith, Burke Mabius, some of these returners, those guys all have tremendous leadership abilities. They all have an opportunity to be able to touch, whether it's Jax or Laya or any of these kids, they've got a great opportunity to be able to do that. And I've seen growth in Maddox through the years for sure. He's a really, really good player. It's the defense he's throwing out there, the way he throws the ball, the way he picks it, just his mentality. It's a very settling force. He's not an outwardly loud leader and a yeller and screamer or anything like that. That's just not who he is. He does things I guess when he's on the field, he's a lead by example guy. Just by the way he plays the game is enough. Where there's other guys that are really a little bit more leader when it comes to your typical in somebody's face, maybe in the dugout or, really verbally encouraging them. That's not Maddox's way. Maddox is going to show you. He's going to be very calm, and really we don't ask him to do or any of these guys to do anything that isn't in their personality. Just kind of be the person that you are. And that's a leader. If you're trying to act like somebody that you're not, that's probably not a leader. That's a little bit more of the fraud side. And we try to stay away from that with all of our guys. Max, tremendous leader. He just does it in his own way. He just plays really good. He's a good baseball player.
Matt.
Back to the teaching the young guys the defense and the importance of it. With Braden behind the plate, how have you seen him kind of embrace that and just the role he has with the experience on the mound you have, just kind of have the commanding voice as a catcher?
Braden Jackson is a talented player, right? But like the way he caught during the fall is totally different than the way he caught during the spring so far. And that's probably a tribute to himself and that he worked on the things that he needed to instead of hiding from them. He's always had the tools that are tremendous. Like you see those are pretty standout. The arm that he rolls out there and the bat that he has. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. But I mean, Jack Martyr and Tim Cisnera, those two guys are guys that work with catchers around here, and those guys are really, really good. They're advanced teachers, both caught professionally, both ducks, right? Guys that get it and they know what it's like to play at this place. And so I don't know, those guys' instruction I think has really helped Braden Jackson. I think Braden would say the same.
Youngstown State, a team coming in, they played Auburn, a top 10 team, played them tough the first 2 games of the series. Just what makes them so difficult? What challenge are they bringing into PK Park this weekend?
They're really physical, but their pitching was really good last weekend versus Auburn. They had a lefty and a righty that just shut them down flat out. One of them won the conference pitcher of the week. Then that kid will throw on Friday. And the next guy can really, really pitch, and he throws on Saturday. And they're good. They can pitch for anybody. It doesn't matter who. They can pitch for anybody on anybody's team in the country, whether they're ranked number 1 or not ranked. Doesn't matter. There's those two arms are really, really good arms, and that's why Auburn didn't score off of them. Or scored one run or something like that. I mean, the left-hander had a tremendous stat line against Auburn. I mean, he's really good. He's going to throw 88 to 92 with a plus breaking ball. He's got a cutter that he features, and those 3 pitches are above average pitches on the metrics. The other arms that they have can really pitch. They've got a variety of guys on the bullpen that can cut it and run it, and you're going to see some good arms down there. 90 to 95 mile an hour arms that they can really pitch, and so. I think that's what you saw last week when they went down to Auburn and they played them really, really tough. You referred to 2 games they played tough, and I think they probably coming in here thinking they should be 2-1 instead of 0-3, to be honest with you. And I know that for a fact because the way that those games went, they probably should be 2-1 at this point in time. They've got tremendous pitching.
Here we go. Right.
Braden Jackson and Angel Laya were both projected starters for you coming into the season. Have you seen them step up to those opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, shoot, they gave the awards to Angel, and I think Braden's stat line was even better than Angel in some ways. So, yes, they played very, very well. I can't imagine playing that well as a freshman in your first collegiate games, right? And they both did it, and so good for them. A lot better than I did in my first freshman weekend, that's for sure. I think I was 0 for my first 3 weekends in college, but they're very talented players. You saw a little bit of that last weekend, and for a young player, the key is to kind of minimize the ebbs and flows of it, just be consistent. And so hopefully they can be consistent and keep playing well.